Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today is a video all about baby Malachi and our pregnancy journey so far, what we expect in the future, my home birth plans, that sort of thing. I had people on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube submit questions that they wanted us to go over for this video. Now, if there is a question you want to know the answer to and I don't cover it in this video, or you come up with a question based off what I do cover in this video and you want more information, just comment those down below and I will, of course, answer them for you in the comments. So currently I am 28 weeks pregnant, which means that we are entering into the last and final trimester of this pregnancy before we meet baby Malachi. The bump is up bumping. It is seriously growing. Now, I know some of y'all have been worried about me because I've had some issues throughout this pregnancy with hyperemesis in the beginning, and that just lasting well into the second trimester, and then kind of just not being able to get back up on my feet. I have been doing better with the being able to keep food down. I've started slowly gaining weight. It's not a whole lot. I think I've gained 5 pounds this entire pregnancy, and that's it. But we're getting there. That's better than nothing, right? I'm still having some issues with pregnancy insomnia. I sleep 2 to 3 hours at a time most days, and then I'm up for like 6 hours, and then I can get a little bit of a nap in, and then I'm up again. It's an endless cycle. I've currently been having issues keeping my blood sugars under control. I'm not confirmed gestational diabetic right now, but am borderline gestational diabetic. I do have a midwife appointment coming up in a few days, and we're going to look over all of my blood sugar numbers where I've been testing it for the past 2 weeks and see what we can do to get those numbers a little lower to be healthier for me and for baby Malachi. So that's where we are in the pregnancy. I do need to get y'all some updated footage of the shed to house build. I hope to get a video out about it next, and maybe us working on it. A lot of people are asking if we're going to be in the shed to house before Malachi is born, especially since we're having a home birth. And the answer is honestly, I do not know. I plan to have it at least done enough that I can use it as a birthing space, but I honestly do not know if we will be living in it before the baby is born. The weather has not been cooperating with us very well over getting it done. On top of that, business orders for the bunny breaker duos, the rabbit dispatch tool, the gambrels, and all of that are up because a lot of people are processing rabbits right now. And Kenneth has got to fill those orders, so he's been working in the workshop on days that he can. On days that he can, it's either raining or way too hot to be working in the shed to house. Now, some of this, y'all, other people probably wouldn't have issues with. You can work through the rain, you can work through the heat because you have access to power to help cool things off, or to work inside with the doors closed, things like that. But as an off-grid homestead, we don't necessarily have that resource. So we use a generator to power tools and things like that. But if it's raining, you can't leave your generator outside, and it's not safe to put your generator inside when you're working. On days that it doesn't rain, it is hot. We have had heat advisories. It's getting hot in there too. Yes, Kenneth can put a fan in the doorway and open all the windows and doors, but it still maybe gets to right around 100 degrees in there as he's working, and that's just really hot temperatures to be working in the daytime and trying to get all of the stuff done that he's having to do in there. It's just been what it is. So we are really hoping to get back in there tomorrow. Tomorrow's looking to be a pretty good day to get in there and work. There's only so much I can do to help, but I'm going to help as much as I can and see how much we can get knocked out. And I plan to bring y'all along for that journey. So maybe a shed to house video will be coming out to y'all next. That's what I'm hoping for. But we're just gonna have to see. When it comes to home birth time, I am going to video as much of it as I can, so y'all will get to see what we do in terms of birthing location, whether we are able to make the shed to house work or if we are home birthing in a camper. I don't know at this point. Our baby will be born somewhere though. So I think I've covered the most general basic questions. Some of these are a little bit more specific to how much are we paying for a home birth and things like that. And so we're gonna go through each of them. I'm not gonna call anybody out by name. If you did ask through Instagram stories where I had the little Q&A, I went ahead and responded on those as well, because I know many of my followers on Instagram don't also subscribe on YouTube, and so I wanted to make sure they got their answers. But we're gonna go through them and see what we got going on. So the next person wants to know, what baby items have we bought that we are excited to use or think will be super beneficial for me and for baby on the homestead. And to be honest with y'all, we haven't bought hardly anything. We just haven't. With Declan, and this makes me feel so awful, but with Declan at this point in my pregnancy, we had completely redone his nursery. We had all of the major big items bought, and we're just waiting on baby showers to occur and things for the little items like clothes and diapers and stuff, so we could fill in where we needed after that. But he'd already had his crib, he had a glider in his room, he had his dressers. I mean, he had the whole 9 yards. It was completely decked out and decorated. It was beautiful. We had bought an old house prior to that, and so I was concerned as a mom about whether there was asbestos or lead paint or whatever in his room. So we literally stripped his room down to the studs, re-insulated it, re-sheetrocked it, painted it, and the whole 9 yards while I was pregnant. Me and Ken had done it together and completely redone his nursery, and I was so proud of that thing. But it was already done at this point in my pregnancy then. And as for this baby, we have bought a few outfits and a few toys that Declan has really wanted to buy for him. And that's it. We did have a pregnancy fair at work, and so I've got a few little like baby washes and some like nail clippers and things like that for babies, like a little healthcare kit. What else there? Oh, I got a big like bassinet thing with a sun shield on it, so I could actually put baby in that and take him outside or use it as like a little play area before he's big enough to set up, because it's only like this deep. So that will be cool. I'm sure I can put that to use in the living room or out in the garden, that type thing. But other than that, we don't have anything for baby. We do have a baby registry or two. I think I have one for Amazon and one for Walmart that I've filled out so far. I'm just trying to get an idea of things we want to buy for baby. And I know our church is throwing us a baby shower coming up, but we just basically have been total slackers on buying the big things. And I know part of my procrastination is the fact that the shed to house is not done yet, so I don't have anywhere to put a bunch of it. But we totally need to get that done. Now, I have thought about having like a virtual baby shower with y'all type deal, where I open things that we have bought for baby farther along in my pregnancy and share those with y'all, things that I am excited about buying, things like that. So I may do that. If you're interested in getting details about that, let me know down below. I will pin a comment with our baby registries and a little shout out about, you know, maybe posting a virtual baby shower where I'm unboxing things that we have purchased or that other people have given us and stuff for the baby. So if you want to be part of that, comment down below on that, let me know, and I will let you know when I'm going to post such a video. As for this moment, things that I am really looking forward to purchasing for me and for baby are mostly a baby carrier. I loved baby carriers when I had Declan. I had two different types, a soft fabric wrap for when he was a newborn, and then a harder like backpack style wrap for when he got older. With Malachi, I really want to try one of the sling carriers and like a woven style wrap, so I'm excited to get into those. We do still have the older backpack style carrier that we used for when Declan was a toddler and we would do things like hike or go to festivals and things like that. I put it up, so I do still have that one. But other than that, I don't have any baby carriers. So I'm really excited to start purchasing baby carriers for Malachi. After that, I really look forward to getting something like a playpen. I want to try the playpen hack where you can put a fitted like crib sheet over the top of it to keep sun off your baby, but the mesh allows airflow. That way I can really take Malachi out into the garden with me. A stroller is great. We didn't use our stroller too much with Declan, only when we were going to somewhere like a zoo or to the mall or something like that. Other than that, I baby wore him everywhere. A car seat, we definitely gotta have a car seat. With Declan, we did the 4-in-1 car seat, so we bought one car seat. It lasted us until he was 4 years old and the car seat expired. We're gonna follow the same trend with Malachi, buy one car seat, use it for years until it expires, and then move up for a booster car seat after that. It is a lifesaver and saves a ton of money. Other than that, definitely clothes. Girls' clothes are always so much cuter than boys' clothes in my opinion, but I am a sucker for bow ties and little hats on baby boys. I think they are so cute. Some of Declan's baby pictures, he is wearing bow ties and a little hat, and they're still some of my favorites. So I'm excited to be looking for things like that for Malachi. Now, as far as like a high chair goes, I am on the lookout for one of those. With Declan, I had to buy his second hand because we use like an older style high chair. It was a wooden high chair that sat in like an actual kitchen chair. It wasn't one of those that stood up on its own. It strapped into a kitchen chair, and it had a tray on it that we could use or remove and slide him all the way up to the table, which was fantastic because it didn't take up any extra space other than the kitchen chair. I could use it with a tray when he was first learning to eat, or I could take the tray off and put him up to the table so he could be part of the family meal. Loved that high chair. It's one of the things I didn't keep. And, you know, we sold everything when we sold our house right before he turned a year old. I don't have hardly any of his baby stuff left over. But I really do miss that high chair. So I'm going to have to start looking secondhand at stores and maybe online and see if I can find something like it. Now, I don't think I really covered anything for myself. Maybe you can classify the baby carrier for me because I love to baby wear. And I really think it makes my job easier as a mom to baby wear. But other than that, really all the things that I do to prepare for myself for birth and postpartum are, I try to get some freezer meals going in the freezer so I can just defrost them and heat them up. I try to make sure I have lots of food and snack on hand. A snack caddy, or a breastfeeding caddy as I like to call it. I make one of those. It was the best thing for when I had Declan, and it would have diapers and wipes and different snacks and bottles of water and things like that in it, and I could carry it with me. So wherever I was sitting at for that time period, I would have it available. But other than that, I really don't buy anything special for me. If there's something you think I need for birth or postpartum, please let me know. Ah!
You need sugars.
What the heck?
You get sugars.
My goodness. Anyways, back to the questions. If you have anything you think I could use for birth or postpartum, especially for a home birth, let me know in the comments below, because obviously it's about time I start shopping for that time of my life, and I haven't done any of that yet. So the next question is, how do I expect baby to change things on the homestead? And honestly, I don't expect things to change very much. I just expect them to scale back, at least for the first year after having Malachi, because I want to devote as much time as possible to our growing baby. You don't get that time back with your kids. You only get so long in that baby stage, and they change so fast, and I don't want to miss a single minute of it because I am too focused on expanding our homestead or growing things on our homestead than I am my own baby. It's one of the reasons that we sold everything, moved into a camper, and started traveling, is because I felt like Declan was growing up without his parents available. We both worked full time, Declan was in daycare, and we just weren't there for him. And so we got rid of everything. We scaled our life way back, and we spent more time focusing on Declan and our family as a whole, and I loved being able to do that. Now we have the pact that only one of us works at a time, and that way our child is never again in daycare or having to go without having at least one of his parents available. So we will continue that with Malachi. We will scale back on the homestead. We will probably cut our rabbit breeding numbers back and focus on having better quality breeders instead of numerous breeders. We are going to butcher half of our chickens to cut our chickens back. I'm not sure what we're doing with the goats, but we're working on trying to figure that out. I don't expect to get any new animals within the next year, even though I want to. Malachi will come first. And we will just focus on growing in the garden and doing what we can, but with Malachi and Declan at the center, because those are our boys, and this time together with them is precious. We will never again get to experience Malachi as a baby. We will never again get to experience Declan kind of learning to be a big brother and growing in that role and helping him through that. And so that's our focus over this next year or so, and everything else will scale back. I will be doing less festivals next year. I'm really trying to do just the big ones that we are a part of, like the Okie Homesteading Expo. I've already committed to that one, and probably will do the Homesteading Festival again with Roy Feek. And I don't know if we're gonna do any more other than those. I do not want to spend that time traveling away from my family, and to take everybody with me on such events is a big process that we will be making only for big events. It just is what it is. We will scale back, we will focus on our family more, but we're going to bring y'all along for the ride. Okay, so the next question, the person commented it and asked me on Instagram if I thought they should plan their goats giving birth around the time that they were giving birth, because they are also pregnant and expecting. And if I thought maybe their goats should give birth before or after them if they had the option. And as for me, thinking about this, we don't currently have any goats bred. I do hope to borrow a buck or something this fall and maybe have him spend time with our girls and get them bred so that we'll have babies in the spring.
Yeah, I want to have babies even more and more.
But as for me in that situation, if I am milking a goat, because this was in reference to a milk goat, I would plan for her to give birth after me, because can you imagine having your milk goat give birth a few weeks before you and then having to get up in labor that morning of, that night of, or immediately after you give birth, or even the first few days after you give birth when you've got this new baby and you're sore from birth and everything is overwhelming and you have to get up and go milk your goats? No, that sounds miserable. So if it was me in her situation and I had the option, I would plan for my goats to give birth after me so that I at least had a little bit of time to heal and adjust to my new role with my new baby before having to focus on her giving birth and getting out there and milking her, things like that. Complications come up when you have animals having birth on your homestead. She may reject the baby. You may all of a sudden have a bottle baby with your new baby, and it could just be a hot mess. So before you give birth sounds horrible. After you give birth sounds like the better option. If anybody has come across this situation and actually had a goat give birth right before or right after they gave birth, let me know how that went for you. If you could have planned differently, would you have planned differently? Okay, so the next question I got is, can a high-risk mom have a home birth? And I think before we get started in this, we have to kind of clarify what a home birth is, because there's many ways you can do it. So home birthing, in the way that we're doing it, is we will have a licensed midwife, went to school for it, graduated with their midwife license, things like that, but they are also licensed through our state health department. In South Carolina, the Department of Health is the ones who actually follow up with our licensed midwives, make sure they're staying up to date on all their stuff, make sure they're practicing within the bounds of their license, and monitoring it to make sure everything is done in a safe manner. We will have a team of midwives. Our midwife clinic that we see is called Natural Birth at Home, and it's based out of Conway, South Carolina. And they travel all over within like the nearby counties. So they come to our county. We're not even in their county. They're technically an hour away from us, but they come and travel to us. And so that is who we are using. So far, they have been great. We've seen them since I was 5 weeks pregnant, so for 23 weeks. And we've really gotten to know them, and we enjoy working with them. Now, in other states, like we're right there on the border of North Carolina. North Carolina has completely different guidelines about their midwife. And in situations where you have a stricter midwife state like North Carolina, a lot of times you will have underground midwives who can still attend your birth, and these are maybe midwives who have learned the trade from their mother or their grandmother, and they're like the village midwife type deal. So they've just been delivering babies for all this time, and they know through trial and error, not so much school. Some of them are school-based midwives, but maybe didn't go to an accredited school or something like that. For some reason, cannot get their state nursing midwife license. Or maybe the state just doesn't even offer that, depending on what degree they have, things like that. So a lot of these women used to be legally allowed to practice and no longer can. Some of them did go on to get a certification or a different nursing license, a different degree, and they have been legally allowed to practice. It really depends on your state and how they do things. Some of these underground midwives don't have the right to administer medications, and oxygen, even like oxygen to help resuscitate a newborn, is considered a medication, so they don't have the right to that. They may not have neonatal resuscitation certification or BLS, life-saving event certifications and training. They also are not legally allowed to practice in most places. That's why they're underground midwives. And so in the event that you have to call 911 or something and be transferred to the hospital, all of your records and stuff no longer exist. And in fact, telling them who was attending your birth can get that midwife arrested and can really destroy their lives. So it's kind of a hush-hush situation. If you get into that situation, you keep your mouth shut and you basically pretend like you didn't have any care and you are delivering without assistance. And that's not what we were looking for, because in an emergency situation, I need to know that somebody's got my back and somebody can save my child. And if I need to transfer to the hospital, somebody has those records for the hospital doctors to be able to treat me. So we didn't go underground midwife route, but you could. And then you could also free birth, is what they call it. And this means giving birth without any medical people in attendance. You are birthing free of medical personnel and doing your own thing at home on your own. The problem with this is some places, when you get a birth certificate, require proof of pregnancy and proof of birth. This is so that you can't steal a baby and go and sign up for a birth certificate and then just give you one with your name on it and the baby's name on it. That's not how it works. You have to have something to prove that that is actually your child. And so having a midwife present certifies that that is your child, that you gave birth to that child, you were indeed pregnant with that child, and you can get a birth certificate. Our midwives actually do all the birth certificate paperwork for us so that we don't have to deal with that complication of doing it ourselves. But those are the different things. So to take it back to the question, can you home birth as a high-risk mom, is going to depend on what style midwife you use, if you use one at all, or if you choose to free birth, and what your state laws are. As far as our state laws, there are health complications that would rule us out of home birth. Having something like gestational diabetes that is diet controlled or controlled with different herbal supplements or something like that, that's not going to rule me out. But having something like preeclampsia would require a hospital birth instead of a home birth. They can also only home birth us up to a certain gestation. So here in South Carolina, it's 42 weeks. After 42 weeks pregnant, it's a hospital birth. The midwife cannot legally deliver my baby at home past 42 weeks. She would lose her nursing license and things like that. So for us, when I called my midwives up, I found them on Google, and I called them and I say, hey, I just got a positive pregnancy test. Not sure on how far along I am, but I need to be seen and get checked out. And so they were great. They set me up an appointment right away with a practicing OB that is very home birth friendly, and he did an ultrasound to date my pregnancy and to check me out. In South Carolina, we have to see 2 visits with an OB during our pregnancy to be able to be deemed safe for home birth. And so I seen him and he kind of rolled me in, looked at me, everything was great. We were doing great. And so I'll see him again in the last trimester. He'll look at me again, assess whether I'm still a candidate for a home birth, and if I am, then I'm cleared to go, as long as I don't go overdue. So the only one who can determine whether you are safe to home birth or not is a midwife. So call one up and meet with them. A lot of them do free consultations, so the first visit is completely free, and you can sit down and talk to them and ask them what rules you in, what rules you out, and let them check you over and decide. Our midwives are great, so if you're looking to home birth, I hope you find an awesome team like us. So next is who will be there at our birth and who's covered and how much are we paying for all this. So at our birth, our practice, and not all practices are the same, but the practice we see goes to birth in teams of 3. So there is 1 primary midwife. Our office actually has 2, Angela and Chloe, and then they have student midwives who are still in school learning the art of midwifery. Some of them are farther along and closer to graduation. Some of them are new, but they are learning under our midwives, and so they are part of the birthing team. So you get 1 primary midwife and 2 student midwives for a team of 3. And they do this because you have your primary midwife who is there to control the situation, to keep things going in a safe manner, and to make sure everything is smooth. Then you have 2 midwives to back up, 1 to chart, so that would be the newer midwife, the one just now coming into school or just halfway through school, things like that. And they're there to chart and to document as things happen in real time so that everything is documented. So afterwards, if you had a traumatic event or something, you can look back at your notes and see what all happened, or your midwives can look back at the notes and see everything that they did, and you can know that everything was charted and documented as it happened. And then you have the other midwife who is there to help in emergency situations. So that gives you one primary midwife, one backup midwife who is usually close to finishing school, and one that is kind of new that's there for charting. And so with having two midwives, one that's been doing it for years and one that's newly doing it, you can have somebody focused on baby and somebody focused on mama, or you can have two people focused on mama if mama is hemorrhaging, or two people focused on baby if you need resuscitation, but you've got extra hands available. So they always go in teams of 3, which I really appreciate. So as far as getting to know our midwifery team, we do meet everybody in office prior to our birth. So we rotate our visits with the primary midwives, Angela and Chloe. That way we get to know each other equally well. And then all of the student midwives take turns helping out in appointments, so we get to know all of them very well as well. That way when it comes time to give birth, there's nobody new in that room that I don't know and that I'm not comfortable with. Now, in contrast to that with Declan, there were a ton of doctors and midwives within his practice, OBs and midwives. And I seen a different one each pregnancy visit, so I only seen them one time each visit with somebody new. I hardly got to know them. And then the day you go in to give birth, you don't know who's going to be there or who's going to deliver your child. And you can have students in the room, you can have nurses that you don't know in the room, things like that that can make you a little uncomfortable. So home birthing takes that away. I know everybody who will be there, and I've been able to question them and what their skills are and what they carry, things like that, and how they can join our team to make our baby safe. And the question everybody wants to know is, how much does this cost? Again, this is going to change based on where you live. If you live in a more expensive area, it's most likely to be more expensive. But where we are at and what we are paying is $5,000. So this covers our prenatal appointments, it covers our birth, our labor and delivery, and the postpartum period. The only things that I'm paying for additionally are any lab tests that I agree to and ultrasounds that I have done. That's it. And the ultrasounds I have done are with a home birth friendly OB who does like a cash price program, and so it doesn't cost that much. They can bill your insurance if you have insurance to do the lab work or to do the ultrasounds, things like that. Some midwife offices, home birth midwife offices, will actually work with you to apply to your insurance to be reimbursed for your home birth, so you get some of that money back. Some insurance are easier to work with this than others, so reach out to your home birth midwife offices and see if they offer that. If not, reach out to some home birthing groups near you and see if anybody has experience in filing some of this back on your insurance. You have to pay for it up front, deliver your baby, then file with insurance, and they pay you back for it. But as for us, it's $5,000 start to finish other than blood work and ultrasounds. And then we just pay that in installments throughout the pregnancy, and it's due before the baby is born. That's all there is to it, which sounds expensive. I know $5,000 sounds crazy expensive, but with Declan, we had insurance with Declan. I was a nurse at the time, and so had hospital insurance with Declan, and we still ended up paying our insurance and $8,000 out of pocket to have Declan, which blows my mind. Declan was born in February, and insurance deductibles start over at the first of the year. So we had paid our deductible, got all my prenatal care, and then it come time to have Declan, and we had to pay the deductible again, and then whatever insurance didn't cover, because our insurance, and not all insurances, will pay 100% of maternity care or labor and delivery costs. So sometimes you have to pick up the slack on that. So we paid more for Declan out of pocket, plus paid for insurance with him to have our child. So Malachi is coming off way cheaper in the long run. Okay, and the last question I got asked was, do we still butcher our animals while I'm pregnant? And if you've been around for any point in time, or you've been to events that I've been at, you know the answer is absolutely yes. We have taught butchering classes since I have been pregnant. We have taught one at Farm Where You Live. Well, actually we did 2 demonstrations at the last Farm Where You Live event. And then we have done one here on our homestead where we taught one of our friends, and we have went to somebody else's homestead and taught them while I was pregnant. And we do have a butchering day coming up where we will butcher rabbits and chickens while I'm pregnant. So yes, the only things I would say that has anything to do with being pregnant and butchering is don't overdo yourself. Don't try to lift a whole pig up or something. You don't need to be lifting that much weight, especially this far in your pregnancy. And make sure you're not being dirty about it. Like wash your hands, things like that, to keep germs and stuff out of your mouth and out of your eyes and things like that. Other than that, I don't see any reason you can't butcher animals while pregnant. It's just not something that's ever been a concern for us. We still eat our chicken eggs from our chickens. We still take care of them. You don't want to clean the chicken coop or something like that while you're pregnant without wearing a face mask, because you're more at risk for bacteria and stuff. But a lot of things that they tell you you can't do while you're pregnant is try to prevent you from getting sick while pregnant, because if you get sick, that impacts the baby. And then things like dehydration and stuff can send you into preterm labor, cause contractions, things like that. So that's what a lot of the you can't eat turkey, or you can't eat cold sandwich meat and things like that come from, is to try to keep you from being sick. So just be healthy about it. Clean your hands, clean your tools, make sure you're paying attention and not like splashing animal feces or something in your mouth or your eyes or something like that, which you should be doing anyways, whether you're pregnant or not. So now if you're on lifting restrictions or standing restrictions or some kind of restrictions that have been given to you by a doctor or midwife, follow those, of course, and adjust. If you can't stand for a long period of time, sit down in a chair and butcher your animals right there with you sitting. That's fine, you can totally make that work. However you need to do to adjust and make things easier on you is fine. Now on our last garden video, we did a garden seed giveaway for those people who commented on our video. The more comments you had, the more entries you had into the seed giveaway. I chose 5 people to get 10 seed packs for free in the giveaway. I'm mailing them out to them. There's no cost involved. And so I've chosen our 5 winners, and here they are. So if you have won in the seed giveaway, congratulations. I did comment on your original comment that won you the seeds and asked you to email me your address. I will not share that address with anybody. It will not be saved within any database that I have, like for our company or anything like that. I will only be using it to send your seeds out, and then it's gone. So just send me your address and I will get your seeds out to you within the next few days. And congratulations on winning those seeds. So if you have any more baby questions, don't forget to ask them down below. Anyways, I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad you're around for us, and I hope you enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about us, home birthing, how it's going to affect our homestead, that things. And until next time, friends, bye. We will see you later.